Are there any board communications?
To the chair,
Yes.
I need you to report out on the scholarship so I can follow up with an update on how we're going to pay it.
Okay. We awarded our scholarship to Savannah Barba.
Okay, and normally last year, because of everything, we didn't have anybody apply for our scholarship, so no money was deducted from our paycheck. So in order to pay our scholarship now, since we went through it, all board members will receive a $50 deduction on their paycheck. And then moving forward, we're gonna be adjusting it. It's coming forward as a change in our operations just to do it every May. So we never get put in that position where we don't have money in our account. Does anybody have any questions? Then I think we're good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is comments from the audience. We have none. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a board member willing to adopt the consent agenda?
To the chair,
Yes.
I'd like to move the adoption of the following resolution, please.
Do I have a support? Support. It's been moved by Mrs. Fletcher and supported by Mrs. Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, 0, 7 ayes. Resolution adopted. Next item on the agenda is discuss custodial maintenance and grounds contract.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent, Mr. James Kinsey.
Thank you, Superintendent Barbaresky. So after a number of meetings with a committee consisting of a couple of board members, Cheryl and Shirley, thank you for your time and commitment, principals, Linda and me, the district advertised and a request for proposals and received 4 proposals, which were publicly opened at a meeting on March 31st, 2023. A committee comprised of the finance director, business office staff, operations supervisors, board members, and district administrators reviewed proposals, heard vendor presentations, interviewed vendors, and checked references. After the committee carefully considered the cost and conditions of the services provided by each company, ABM Industry Groups was determined to be the preferred company with the low and responsible proposal. Based on the results of the committee's thorough review process, the superintendent is recommending that the board award the bid for custodial maintenance and ground services to ABM Industry Groups.
Are you done?
Yes.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kinsey?
To the chair.
Yes?
How long is that contract? Is it 1 year?
So this contract right here will be a 1-year contract, and then based on what we see in this 1 year, then we'll have an opportunity to renew it for 3 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is discuss owner representatives agreement. Mr. Bob.
Thank you, Madam President. At the regular meeting on January 25th, 2021, the board resolved to partner with an owner representative to assist the district in the 2021 bond project. The district entered into an agreement with Lacole Planners, LLC, from July 25th, 2021 to June 30th, 2023. The district's owner representative manages various levels of technical, financial, and communication matters throughout the district's bond project. Michelle Kearns continues to do excellent work, and I am recommending that we continue our partnership with Lacole Planners, LLC, as the district's owner representative for the 2021 bond project with the attached agreement, which would begin on July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2026. You'll notice that it would continue to be at the current rates. And then also several different board members had asked that in this contract that's attached here, that it would be more inclusive in terms of the scope of the work that Michelle Kearns provides. You'll notice that that is indicated in the updated contract underneath the recitals portion. which reflects what the board's desires were for this upcoming contract. And that concludes all that I have on that matter, unless there's any additional questions from the board at this time.
Yes,
Sure.
Mr. Winston.
Mr. Superintendent, how many hours a week does Michelle work on average? Does she 40 hours? Well, does it vary?
So, great question. It varies. She is not close to 40 hours a week. There are some weeks where it's more than 20, but then there are some weeks where it's less than 20. It just depends on where we're at in the scope of the bond project and the projects that we have going at that time. So it varies, but she's not full-time.
Like,
To the chair.
Mrs. Hicks?
Mrs. Kearns, she does between the contractors and the district figuring out, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any more questions?
To the chair?
Yes.
Just a comment. Thank you, Jason, for the extra information, because it helped a lot and it clarified a lot, so thank you.
You're welcome.
That it?
That didn't sound like a question.
No, I said to the chair I had a comment, not a question, just a comment.
Next item on the agenda is discuss band room flooring project. Mr. Bob?
Thank you, Madam President. So the much-awaited band room flooring project we've received bids for the Thurston High School band room floor replacement project. We were waiting to complete the casework project that you heard Michelle and Kelly speak to. And so now that the casework within the band room is done, we're transitioning to receiving bids for the band room flooring project. And so bids were solicited and received for the work, and the company that is recommended for the band room floor work is Shock Brothers Flooring in the amount of $40,450 to provide and install new flooring in the band room, as well as the adjacent office and storage room. A 10% contingency, total expenses not to exceed $44,495 is requested to cover any unforeseen costs that may be associated with this project. And the bid award would be paid for out of the 2021 bond. And I say the much awaited because I know some of you have had the opportunity to stop by the band room and to borrow some words from my colleague Linda, the flooring is fully amortized in the band room. And so we're excited to see this taken care of now that the casework project has been completed. So I would put that out to the board if there's any follow-up questions pertaining to this proposed project.
Are there any questions for Mr. Bob?
To the chair,
Yes.
what kind of floor is it going to be replaced with, and will it have a warranty?
So that's a good question. I don't believe it is on the memorandum, but I can find out both of those answers and get back to the board on that.
And this repaired carpet, is it carpet right now? It's been years since I've been in there.
Yes.
I thought it was.
Yep.
What would be called carpet?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd be happy to find out both those answers and get those out to the board.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, discuss Thurston High School, Pierce Middle School chiller project additional contingency authorization. Mr. Bob?
Thank you, Madam President. At the board meeting on January 23rd, 2023, the board awarded the bid for the Thurston High School and Pierce Middle School chiller projects. The company that was awarded the bid was CSM Mechanical for $463,750. The board also approved a 10% contingency for the project to cover any unforeseen expenses, and the total expenses to not exceed $46,375 with the 10% contingency. In preparing for the upcoming installation of the new Thurston High School chiller, it was discovered and determined that there was a breach in the supply line and return piping as they were circulating mud. Additionally, they're at their end of life. The cost for replacing the supply and return lines exceed the project contingency. The total cost of providing temporary piping and replacing the lines will not exceed $142,010.50. And that is why I'm recommending that we replace the lines to best support the new chiller equipment that the board has already purchased for decades to come. An additional 21% contingency in the amount of $95,635.50 is requested to cover any unforeseen costs associated with the supply line replacement. Additional contingency expenses would be paid for out of the 2021 bond. I will put that out to the board, should there be any questions pertaining to this agenda item.
To the chair.
Yes, Mrs. Hicks.
When were the original supply lines put in?
We're not
I knew I was
sure.
gonna ask you that.
So, great question. We're not sure on that one. A really long time ago, there was some conversation if these are still the original ones that were put in or the second ones. We have done some repairs to the lines over the years, but even those repairs would have been 10 or 12 years ago. And the life expectancy on the new lines is 50 years.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is discuss 2023-2024 RESA preliminary budget. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Madam President. The board will open for board discussion of the Wayne RESA preliminary budget for the 23-24 school year. And section 380.624 of the revised school code requires that each constituent school board of Wayne RESA to participate in Wayne RESA's budget development process. Not later than June 1st of each year, each local school board must review the proposed budget, adopt a board resolution expressing its support for or disapproval of the proposed budget, and submit to the Wayne RESA board any specific objections and proposed changes to the constituent district board recommends on the budget. The Wayne RESA board is then obligated to consider the specific objections and the proposed changes. And Madam President, for the board are the attached documents, some of which Chris had out at the previous board meeting on Monday for any possible discussion this evening.
Are there any discussions? Don't we normally just go along with what they,
Well, yeah, because we really don't know what
Right.
they're spending how much on,
right,
as long as they're staying within their budget.
right. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider designation of electoral representative for RESA election. Okay. Now, normally, I would go and do the voting, and there's two candidates, Mary Blackman and Danielle Vandenberg. It's gonna be Monday, June the 5th at 6 o'clock, and we do have a board meeting that Monday. Do I have anybody that could go to Wayne RESA and do the voting for us? If not, I'll see if I can go earlier to vote.
Well, you can't go earlier. That's the only time you have the voting, but I would be willing to go
Okay,
there
very
and then come back to the rest of our meeting.
Thank you so much, Lori. So since there's two seats open,
And there's only two people.
and there's Mary Blackman and Danielle.
I'll do it.
Okay, we should. Okay.
Name,
Okay.
May 5th?
Do I
June
have a
5th.
board member
June 5th.
that's willing to adopt the resolution?
Madam President,
Yes.
I move the adoption of the following resolution.
Okay, do I have a support?
Support.
It's been moved by Mrs. Early and supported by Mr. Winston that we vote for Mary Blackman and Danielle Funderburg. And Lori will go, and if Lori can't make it, Misha will be the backup. Yes?
I just want to make you aware, so there is a second resolution that's going to come to the next meeting. We have to have 2 public meetings. So this one is only for the representative, and the next one will reaffirm the representative, and then also what the board wants to vote for.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? 7 ayes, 0 nays. Adoption. Resolution adopted. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is discuss updates to operations and orientation manual. Mrs. Fletcher.
Okay, the committee met last week to go over, we had some more updates. You guys just saw this document a few months ago, but we've changed how we evaluate the superintendent, how we evaluate the board. We've changed some policies district-wide that we have to align, and then I keep a running sheet of any board suggestions or any typos or words missing people sees and try to incorporate it. So in front of you is all the suggestions, everything rolled into one, and it's open to board discussion. And if there's anything else that people didn't let me know, it's our time to talk about it now that we can add it on as board members, because we're just discussing this week. I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Mr. Winston.
So, let's see. Mentoring. A new board member shall be assigned a mentor by the board president.
Can you tell me what page, Daniel, so we can follow through as a board and as a committee?
It is one of the 4 pages, I guess.
Roman numeral 4.
It's what?
Roman numeral
Yeah.
4.
Roman numeral 4, thank you. Okay.
A new board member shall be assigned a mentor by the board president. I guess I'm wondering, does the new member have any say-so in who this person is, or does the president just say that's your person is going to mentor you? Just a question.
Well, the president would assign you somebody, but if you have somebody else in mind, I'm sure that can be worked out. All it says is this, she will assign somebody.
Yes, I just want to make sure. Just asking the question. Okay.
So I have, to the chair, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have the same similar question, like, so what if somebody doesn't want to be mentored? Or are we making this like the standard, like we have to be mentored?
I would address to the president. I mean, this was a suggestion that came to me, and I put it in there to open it as discussion for the board, so it would be a board discussion, everybody's input. I know it used to say may, and we tried that, and trying to educate and develop and make sure new board members understand how we work to make the transition easier. So it's just an open item for discussion, and it will be the will of the board, you know, but it would be the whole board deciding. So I understand your question. Will it be for sure?
Yeah,
Will it be
like,
flexibility?
yeah. Is there
It
flexibility?
was May, and May didn't seem to be working, so it was put to me to please bring that forth as a committee chair to the board to discuss, and that's all I'm doing. So to me, it's the will of the board through discussion, you know, how they want to handle it, and people's thoughts, just to keep the board moving forward and making sure we do the best job we can do and learning through that. And my personal opinion, mentoring goes a long way when you have somebody that's experienced and somebody that's new. I mean, it's just a way of learning, so I open it up to the board for discussion.
The other part that was discussed, just because President will assign you, it doesn't mean that you have to work with that person. It's just really more of a, if you had someone else you would prefer to work with as a new board member, I'm sure the president will go along with that.
Well, can we change that wording then?
Sure.
Yeah, because I don't mind if, the president give, like, this is gonna be your mentor, it's just like, for me personally, speak about me, I wanted to get to know the board members before I just sat down and talked to anybody. And I kind of said that, I wasn't gonna say a whole lot this first 6 months, and so I reach out to people, board members as I need to, but, I just, for me personally, I wanna make sure that if a new board member comes on, that the mentor-mentee relationship is a good fit, because if it's not, then it becomes a thing of, it just becomes kind of just uncomfortable.
No, you're
So-
absolutely right, I agree with you.
So I just wanted to be, flexible in that statement, I guess, as long as there's some flexibility, however we word it. I just didn't want someone to be tied to a mentoring-mentee relationship that may not fit,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly, so if you have a suggestion, throw out so the board can discuss and we can hone in on the verbiage.
I have a question. Do we want to make that more specific? Like what you mean by a new board member, like a time frame, like a newly elected board member will have a mentor for X amount of time? Like how specific do you want it to be, or is it just forever they're gonna have a mentor?
Good question, to me, that's open to board discussion, how
It
you guys
says new
feel.
board member, it
Yeah.
doesn't say newly elected.
Well, I was under the impression that we were not, after they take their oath, they're no longer a new board. That's what they say, yeah. That's what Don at MASB, they said they're officially a board member. And each board member should have a mentor. And I wouldn't just assign somebody a board member. I would ask, now, who would you like to be your board member?
Right, because I think most people coming onto the board is a fair idea of the people on the board.
Right.
I didn't know, and so the only person that when I got on board, I spoke to Shirley once by accident, driving by my house. She just pulled up on me. I was like, look. And then I spoke with Nisha because she was always everywhere, and I was like, who's this lady everywhere? So that was kind of my connection to the board. And kind of, like I said, the first 6 months, I just sat quietly and kind of got to know everybody's personality and what it was. So I just don't coming up here to the board table and, it's already you're trying to fill out, how everyone else is, and just saying this is who your mentor is going to be could just be a little bit overwhelming for someone. So that's all I'm saying, just from my perspective. That's all I have on that piece.
And that makes sense.
No, it does. So I know, back to Misha's question about rewording, did you have a
I gotta do it right
suggestion?
Do I have to do that right now?
Yeah, because it's discussion and it would be, the board agrees if there's consensus, I'd ask Chris to do the changes and then be brought forward at our next board meeting for approval. So yes, we do have to come, sorry, to some consensus.
I just don't like the word shall be. You know what I mean? That's the only part I
It
don't
was
like.
may, and it was changed, we're recommended to change to shall.
Can we say can? But no, that leaves.
So I'm open, whatever you guys want to do.
No, it's not in the policy. It could be added later, but it's not right now.
A new board member shall meet with the president to, I don't know, like I said.
Decide on the mentor?
Yeah,
That works too.
That would work too, it's just
Yeah.
a little bit saying in a different way. So let me get this, a new member will meet
With the president.
with the board
decide.
president to decide the direction of mentorship, or how do you want it
Yeah.
said?
To meet on mentoring opportunities
We'll
within the
meet
board.
with the board
Something.
president.
I mean, I just think that making a board member have a mentor,
You want input, you want to say, you want to help, and that's, I totally understand
at my
that.
level of comfortability. I mean,
Yeah.
because my mentor may be like, I want to meet with you all the time, and the new board member, I may be like, well, I'm not comfortable meeting all the
Right,
time. What's
right.
my comfort level? So
Right.
that's just my thing. I don't want
Okay.
a new board member to say like, I got to meet with my mentee 3 times a week because they want to, and the board member like, I really don't.
All right.
No, we're not putting that kind of.
Okay, I gotta finish this sentence,
So that's it.
guys.
I just don't want to.
Can I reread it back and you guys help me finish it? A new board member will meet with the board president. What was the rest?
To
To
decide.
decide.
Okay, to decide the direction of mentorship, or what exactly you guys want?
Yes, I'm just saying on just to decide.
To decide?
If you wanted to streamline the entire sentence, you could just say that it'll be discussed during their orientation, since the whole board is orientating them, and that'll be the time when they get to meet everybody.
All right, now you're really messing with my head.
No, say that in a sentence.
Just say.
Yeah, please, help me. I need a sentence.
What did you just say?
That instead of meeting with the president separately, it would be discussed during the orientation. During the orientation, when they get to meet everybody.
But this is also in another, as a duty of the president. It carries over to another section. So
So maybe they want to meet with the president after orientation, when they've had a chance to meet everybody.
but it doesn't even, but the sentence, like combining what Daniel said and Misha said, it doesn't say when, just that they will meet.
Yeah.
They will meet with the president to decide the best fit for mentorship, or,
Yeah.
Because,
That could even be done on the phone, they don't have to.
right.
Right, it doesn't have to.
I mean, so what are the board's thoughts? Is that sentence, I'll read it again, a new board member will meet with the board president to decide the fit for mentorship? Are you guys all
I
comfortable
don't
with that?
understand the timeline, though. There's no timeline on it.
But it's not. in the
We've never
sentence,
put a
the original
timeline on
sentence.
it.
Like, is it, like, what's considered a new board member? Somebody who's just been elected and sworn in?
But you could be an old board member and need mentorship.
Then it shouldn't say new
Just
board
say
member.
a
So
board
we should
member.
say a board member.
And just get rid of new? I mean, would that solve?
Well, and I did say that when Don and, let's see who else, Mackenzie and Cindy, a lot of times they say once they take the oath,
Mhm.
they're no longer a new board member, they're a board member, and they should have a mentor. So-
Right, and we get appointments too, it's not just elected
Right.
people, we change seats for other reasons, so we could put just a board member. I mean, it's the will of the board.
How does that sound, a board member?
I like that.
Okay.
Amanda, are you okay
Everybody
with that?
agree with that?
Daniel, does that cover your concerns? Okay. And I think you have more?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
To the chair, if I
Yeah.
could, if we're still on page 4.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Just given tonight's topic, materials provided, perhaps maybe we update to the district issued laptop in place of the iPad and the Surface Pro,
Okay, that makes good sense,
just as a
Jason.
possible tweak,
Okay.
since
Mhm.
we're on page 4.
Yes.
If you don't want to have to change it like every 5 years, you could say like a district-provided piece
Device.
of technology.
Device.
Yeah, or
A
device.
district-provided device?
Yeah, because
Okay.
otherwise,
Then we wouldn't have to change
the
it.
orientation people are gonna have to update
Okay.
it every few
Yep.
years when you
It's
swap
good.
it out.
Call.
All right, district-provided device.
Perfect.
Everybody's good with that? Okay. All right, anything else on 4 before I go back to Daniel? Daniel, it's all yours.
All right, page 2.
Okay. Board organizational meetings, is that where you're at?
Yes.
Okay.
Where it says, number one, a board committee to review the board's self-evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
When I read self-evaluation, it made me think that I'm going to be evaluating myself. And I thought we were supposed to do our evaluation of the board as a whole. Am I missing something with that?
Yeah, I think it should just be the board.
Well, it says board self-evaluation, and I know, I haven't brought it to the board yet, but in our district policy, there's a separate piece that we haven't been doing. And besides our evaluation as a board of a whole, there's a piece that we're required now, unless we go through the process of changing policy, how the board feels, we are supposed to be doing an individual self-evaluation too. So it would be in the verbiage, but we are supposed to by district policy.
But our evaluation tool doesn't have that.
No, it would be a separate piece if we align to policy, or if we go through the process and eliminate it from our policy. It just is there now.
There is a self.
There is a separate tool.
I
Mhm.
know we tried that for a few years and it just really wasn't working, which is why we stopped doing it.
Well, over 10 years ago, we tried it.
Yeah.
But you don't like the word assault, you just rather it say board evaluation, eliminate self?
Yeah, because self makes me think of me, and so.
Mhm.
Because it's the self of the board.
But that's how they refer to it and policy
Okay.
is that it's self-evaluation of the board as a whole.
So we haven't been doing that policy though, in recent.
No, we've been doing the board. I
But
think
not the
Daniel
self.
the self makes it seem like it's just us as individuals. I mean,
Instead of the board.
instead of the board as a whole.
It's the self of the board though, like if you're thinking of us as one body, and that's just what
And that's the
call it
interpretation of the
everywhere.
policy. And through every book that we orientate, they refer to us as self, because we're a body of 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
I-
it's just saying the word self in itself means.
I know.
So,
We take
I mean,
it
I'm not gonna
personally
split
that it's
hairs over
us.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to leave the way it is, I mean, I know what it means.
What
It
about
just-
the self-evaluation of the board? So that you know you're doing it for the
That
board and
sounds-
not the
that sounds
individual.
Same thing to me, as board self-evaluation.
But that's the same as what it
It's
is
exactly
now.
the same
It's
thing.
just reversing the order where we put board, either before it or afterward. I mean, do we,
Put it
is,
before.
it's before now. I mean, and,
Yeah, because that's what we're evaluating, is
Mhm.
our work as a board, not just me.
right, it's just not, and we know even our documents all say board self-evaluation.
So it didn't say self before, it just said a board committee to review the board evaluation.
Those are two different.
Are we, no,
It's-
this is the sentence right here that I'm reading.
Performance, I think, is what they crossed off, so I think.
Right, so
Yeah,
and add
performance.
itself.
Right, because we don't call it a performance evaluation, we call it a self-evaluation. All our documents refer to it as a self-evaluation.
Well, NSBA calls it a self-evaluation.
Well, so does MASB
Yeah,
too.
MASB has a,
But I'm saying though, we hadn't before
no, we
now.
haven't. Well, not since I've been on the board. Lori said they did it.
But that we know didn't work, and we stopped.
But what's the will of the board? Will the board want to try a board self-evaluation?
Yes, two separate issues.
Yeah.
I mean,
The board self-evaluation is the evaluation of the board. If we were gonna add anything about individual board members evaluating themselves, that would be called something different. There's nothing in there
Will
right
be
now.
a self-evaluation, because they do have one of those.
Right, that would be a.
and and we also at the time, if you guys noticed in the sentence, we combined superintendent evaluation as one committee handling both, because they kind of go hand in hand and we're trying to align it, and that's what we're doing this year. You know, instead of having two separate committees, so we combined that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it being, the word self to me is
I
me.
know.
So I mean, if everyone's fine with it being the way, we can leave it the way it is. I know what it means in my mind,
Mhm.
and I know what it means for the board, so we can move forward. I don't, it's, you know, it's
Well,
not.
on paper,
how
if
am I
it's something
listening?
different than the policy that's written, then it means.
No,
something
it's just
different, right?
there's two separate things in the policy.
Two separate policies.
No, one policy, but there's two
I can tell you
parts
what
to it.
says. Give me 1 second.
There's two separate parts to it. And one part we've been doing is kind of like where we got ourselves as a board and evaluating our superintendent. You know, the tool we were using wasn't one that legally it wasn't. There's no law that says we have to evaluate the board. It's just something we've chosen to do and most boards do. But our policy went deeper as we look into the policy, and I didn't even remit remember, it was actually policy, I know what Lori's talking about. We thought, you know, we struggle with evaluating the 7 of us as a whole, how we're doing, you know, because you have to take yourself out of that and you look at overall, how are we doing as a group of 7? And then there's that extra component, and it actually is in our district adopted policy that says we will do our self-evaluation, our individual evaluation on ourselves. And we would honestly, openly answer questions and grade ourselves like we do the superintendent and the board as a body, us as individuals. How are we doing? Are we following policy? Are we cordial and respectful to each other? Are we following Robert's rules of law? You know, that's a separate thing. We haven't done that, like Lori said, in a long, long time. We struggled as a board, so it just kind of went away. But it is a sitting policy now that is on our books.
The policy calls it a board self-assessment. And for the individual part, it's just assessment / evaluation to assess the effectiveness of each board member. So that one doesn't really have a hyphenated term.
So, but we're not talking about the individual piece right now. We're just talking about the board as a whole.
Chris has a comment?
Yes.
There's a discrepancy on my part with this. When we combined 1 and 5, the second sentence of 1 covers the board self-evaluation. I think from 5, we need to take that last bit and add it to it. It says the tool used for superintendent evaluation. Since we've combined those two, it should address both.
Okay.
Move it up.
Just that section from the tool used for the superintendent's evaluation, added to that last sentence of 1.
Yeah. Is the board okay with that? Does that help? Daniel, are you okay with that?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Is there anything else on page 2?
No.
Anybody else have anything? All right, Daniel, what's your next thing?
Page 4. Duties, I just want to know why was executive added to officers?
Do you want me to take it? Or?
Yes, please, board.
We're the board.
Mhm.
Misha, Shirley, Amanda, and Cheryl are the executive board members.
But, oh, I'm sorry. go
Because
ahead.
we voted them into that position.
Okay. But executive is a business term. I've never seen it in a school board setting of saying it's usually the officers. I mean, in the business world, you have executive officers, you know, who have experience, but I just was wondering why we chose to put executive in there. It just didn't seem like it fit because we're not a business entity. We're a school board, and I don't know, it just seemed like it was just strange to be in there because we're not a business. It's just from my business background, I see executives and GMs and Chryslers and businesses not on the school board. So.
Yeah. Even our Wayne County has the board, and then it has its executive board members.
Right,
But that's just
okay.
the way it's called.
Okay. Okay. That's funny. Just seemed, like I said, a little odd.
Yeah.
Calling our board an executive board, you know, because it speaks to experience and being there for a while, and executive boards are usually those who are experienced, been around for a while, and so we can vote somebody who's on the board for 2 weeks into a
Executive
office
position,
and
sure.
it's like, that person is really someone who has experience, they just were voted in, but, I mean, if no one
And
else
that
has
has
an issue with
happened,
it.
Daniel.
Yeah, that has happened.
I'm not, it's just the wording, I just wondered why do we add it? I mean, it just seems, I just didn't think it was necessary to say you have an executive officers, I think it was just fine being officers, just wondering why we did it. But, okay. We can
What's
move on
the
from there.
will of the board?
It aligns itself to how the rest of the boards operate on all levels. That's why the word executive was put in there.
So-
Even though I understand what he's saying about business.
Yeah.
Does other school boards do that? Like Livonia has executive boards and so on and so forth? Okay, all right.
And plus, Wayne County Association
So
of
does,
School
so
Boards.
does Teresa.
Okay, but I'm talking about more on the level of Livonia School Board,
Yes.
Dearborn School Board, are they called executive?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine, cool, I just asked a question. Okay, thank you for the clarity.
All right, next one, Daniel?
Page 9. We're taking corporate out, are we leaving the definition of corporate in there? It's right up under it on page 9.
I had that discussion, quite honestly. I did the will of the committee. I questioned leaving that definition in. I recommended us taking it out, but I had to go with the will of the committee.
Okay,
So that's open for discussion at the table and the will of the board now.
okay. Just wondering, because we took it out the,
Mhm.
header, and then it's like, it's still there as a definition, so
Mhm.
I kind of was like, well, why is it still there if it's not even part of that anymore?
Yeah, that definition should be changed to match.
So, and if the definition is gonna go away right there, then on page 10 also, it has corporate board responsibilities on page 10, so that would have to go away also.
Right,
So
because it's
anything-
connected.
So anything has to do with corporate, if it's not gonna be part of the page 9 wording, probably needs to go away.
So I'm just bringing forward. I
No, you
agree.
need to take out.
I agree with
corporate.
you, Daniel, about the corporation.
Yeah, it just needs definition of the school board. And then he said, is 1 on 10?
It carries over on the back page.
Yeah. The subheading.
Yep. Thanks, Daniel.
I
Any-
would remove it.
What?
I would remove it, I don't think we need it.
All right, that's what Daniel's saying too, and I agree with him.
Talking about the mention of
Corporate.
corporate, the corporate body and the definition of it, that seems
Mhm.
like something our previous
Yeah.
secretary
No, I
wanted
think-
to have in there.
All right.
Oh, you're right.
All right, Daniel, your next concern, please. Oh, wait, Chris is saying something.
Sorry, I just need clarification on this. So you are striking definition of corporation? There's
Right.
two, there's the adjective and noun. What about the paragraph underneath that talks about voting? Is that being stricken? Is the entire section being stricken?
Well, the definition of corporation was one that Daniel caught, and I agree with that, but Lori mentioned putting in the definition of what a school board is, and I don't, that's something we can look into and do, and align it to that.
Well, that kind of is the definition, that's what Chris is asking if you're keeping this paragraph.
The second paragraph.
Well, it would be the third.
Daniel and Lori, can you go back to 9 and see if we can just keep, because that's what Chris is asking, that second paragraph, right, Chris? Just getting rid of the first?
So if you're striking the definition of corporation and the
Right.
two, the adjective and the noun section below that,
Right.
the very next paragraph is the primary authority of the Board of Education.
And-
Is
and
that being maintained?
That should be maintained.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're only striking the definition and the two sections underneath that, keeping the paragraph the primary authority, correct?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Correct.
All right. Daniel, your next one?
A few more here. K2, just a question. Why did we add all the agendas?
K2? Okay, Lori, I'll let you take this one.
Okay, because our meetings are for different purposes.
Mhm.
We have regular meetings, we have special meetings, and we have board workshops.
Mhm.
And there's certain things required in our regular meeting,
Okay.
similar to, for the special meeting, there's certain things required, but we can only discuss what's on that agenda, whatever item that is.
Mhm.
And then the board workshop, there's a whole lot of it that doesn't need to be in there.
Okay. Okay. I have other,
Wait, does the rest of the board have any questions on agenda? Because Lori was answering Daniel's question.
Yeah, I do.
And I heard some voices, but do they have any questions on why, or what the difference is between different agendas?
For the, this K3, but I think we should, first of all, I think we should put the numbers. Either we're gonna go with A, B, C, D, or the numbers, like 30. I just wrote numbers on the pages instead of the.
Well, I would, you'd have to discuss that with Chris, because there's things that are pre-formatted, and there's some things he cannot do, and things that are really challenging, and there's a reason it's set up that way.
I think in the other book he had the numbers.
Well, yeah, I have no control over that.
Okay, with that, okay. The regular meeting agenda Why do we have 2 plus deltas for improvement? On page K3.
It has a page number in the other version.
Yeah, it is a
Line
page
one.
number on the other.
I don't look at,
Okay,
I
all right.
I don't know why I
I
went
don't
for
shoot
page
the
numbers,
messenger, I'm
it's
just the
letter numbers,
chair.
but that's what it was,
Okay.
number.
On page K3, I had it 30 on my. Number 7 and number 15 are plus deltas. I think we just need 1 plus delta.
I think that's just a typo, something that I carried over or got moved up. There should only be 1 plus delta at the end of the meeting.
Oh, I know why it says that, because at the beginning of the meeting, usually Amy reviews the plus delta from the
Yeah.
previous meeting,
But I don't think that should be in the.
but I think that's why it was
That's
there.
usually an agenda item, not necessarily.
I just don't think we should have 2.
And then I just remove 7 and renumber it.
Okay. Another thing is, let's see where else? Recognition of people and places, and Jason usually does that with the separate superintendent communications. He always, I guess, to me,
Can
that's
you
a
be more
really-
specific where you're
Number
talking?
5.
Number 5 on the regular.
Oh, yeah. You're combining them.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no problem to remove that and renumber it if it's a duplicate.
No, it's not a duplicate.
It's not a duplicate.
just-
But I mean, if we're doing it a different way, that's no problem
Yeah,
to remove
we
that.
usually do them under 2 separate
Yeah.
items.
And then the January organizational meeting.
Yes, because we have 2 each year for different purposes.
Okay, now, there's a recognition of people and programs, number 6. I don't think we need that.
That's easily removed if Jason's
Mhm.
already doing it in 7. We would
Yeah,
just
he is.
renumber it.
Yeah, I don't think we need that in our January organization.
It's in all of them.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, so
regular
that
meeting,
could be
workshop,
removed right across the board.
So maybe at the beginning, before these agendas, it just needs to say examples of what an agenda might look like,
Yeah,
because the agendas change all the time.
right. It's a good suggestion.
So these are just examples, I think.
Well, I don't think we need all these in here. But it'll be the will of the board. And then it seems to me like there's 2 plus deltas.
Okay, weird, because if it's a typo, we can remove that and relabel it. That's
Yeah, that's number 9 on the January.
January's.
It's on everyone except for
It's
the.
not a typo, I explained it. That's how they used to do it.
Well, we.
But for them, it's,
Yeah.
we can remove
Yeah, you can
it.
do whatever you want with it, I'm just saying,
Yeah, I
that's
just don't
what
think
the
we
old
need
agendas
to-
used to have.
Plus delta. You know, I couldn't find those. I looked for the
They're
old ones.
online. But they only go back so far.
But Amanda's correct, because Amy does a plus delta report out from the previous meeting.
We don't do that anymore.
Oh, we're not doing that anymore? Okay.
Because it's in our minutes, it's there, it's no use to take
Yeah.
time and time
Okay.
from her and time from the board's time, because we're approving that in the minutes every week, every time we get minutes, so it's like duplicating the process.
That's what it was, though.
Right, right.
Okay, and on K4, the July organizational
Okay,
meeting,
yes,
number 5, recognition of people.
right, I pressed that out, we can carry that through.
And then there's number 8 plus delta.
Right, so 5 and 8 we want removed from all agenda samples.
And also number 12,
Other than
name
the
of newspaper.
That is a law
Yes, it is,
that we have to do.
and it gets
But
kind of
we don't
sticky for
have
us.
a paper though.
We did, so, to the chair,
Mhm.
if I may. So even though the township does not have a current
So
paper
what
anymore.
paper do we put?
Detroit Free Press.
Yeah, we had to put the
Okay.
free press. So even though we don't have a local paper, when we did check on that, we still have to name
And
a
pay.
paper, especially with the RFPs and bids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's tricky. for sure. And we did look into that.
Right?
All right.
Oh.
Because that was one of those questions that came up because it is law and we have to appoint it. What do we do? Because we don't have one,
Yeah.
you know?
For a while, we were doing the observer.
Right.
Then we went to the township one, and now.
And we were doing Livonia Observer and then it just,
No, it's called Hometown Life now, so that is an option.
but it's only, I think that's only
That's
electronically,
only-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so
it
we
is.
need an actual
I
paper.
forget, I
yeah,
know we
we-
looked
we
into
need
it
a
back in
paper.
August.
So we'll do the Detroit Free Press?
Yeah.
Okay.
that was-
All right.
We need a paper.
Yeah, because we've had to do postings in the free
The
press.
budget hearing has to be posted also.
Yeah, the budget too,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Shirley, did I catch everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Daniel,
let's
did
see,
did we
She's
overlook,
still looking at
you?
it.
Did you have more?
Oh,
Because we-
oh, K9, I mean, we're
I
on
think-
K4 right now, too.
Okay.
Not to
Yes,
change, but
Chris.
Chris has got his hand waving.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, Chris.
I have several questions on this, just for clarification, for consistency in this. Some of these have audience topics not related to the agenda first. Some of them have it related to the agenda first. We had changed that months back to where comments related to the agenda take place first, but
Mhm.
a lot of these are listed and opposite of that, the way they were done years ago.
So we need to flip them and adjust it.
So do flip those?
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is, plus delta and board comments are combined again, whereas they had been separated the last time. Are those being recombined?
No, I think we need to separate it.
Well,
Okay.
it was
But I
completely
don't think we
removed, so.
need two board comments on here.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Just at the end, like the
Yeah.
plus delta, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. SREA, SROPA, SRF, board communications was added back on there. That had been removed. Is that staying or going? Because it was just SREA, SROPA, SRF reports. Board comments was not a part of that. We had taken that out.
Yeah, there should be no comments.
Okay, so
For
remove
when
board
they
communications
report.
from that section.
Yes.
Okay, and there was something else. Regular meeting, so K3, regular meeting agenda. So is book study permanently going on these? It's number 16?
I mean,
That's only when necessary, right?
it seems to me like we should do, if we're
That's
gonna
just
do
an
it,
example, I think.
but we don't need all that in this.
We
book.
can take 16 off for the regular for right now.
Yeah. Because we're not doing it on a
Yeah.
regular basis, but if we choose to do a book study, we
That's
can
where-
still do
Yeah, we
that.
can still.
Right,
right.
Yes.
And it could be a workshop even. We don't necessarily, we've tried it different ways, you know, before a meeting, after a meeting, a short one. If it's an in-depth one, we create another meeting. So yeah, it doesn't have to be there.
Can we go back to page 5?
K5,
Page 5.
page 5.
Right up at the top, number 2, it says assign a mentor to a new board.
That was the discussion we were having earlier. though.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did that.
Should match, though.
Yeah, it should match.
Is that what you're saying, Shirley?
Yeah.
She's saying it needs to match the other page. where you
Yeah,
guys
Right,
changed
right.
it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it
Maybe the
also,
July meeting,
but-
that would be done.
you can align it, but it also is listed under duties of the president.
Yeah,
That's
and
where
that's
she's
what,
at right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
on
what we are.
5, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. This needs to match whatever.
It needs to match
the other
to what's
ones.
worded from before.
Okay, so we,
Well, they take their seats in January, so that probably should be in the January.
no, that's not, wait, that's not,
You guys didn't want to put a time limit on it when
I know.
So, now we're going back.
yeah, I think, does it match?
Because you have a new board member, a new member will meet with the board president to decide the fit for mentorship.
Yeah, that doesn't need to be in the minutes.
We're not
We're
talking
not talking about
when the
minutes.
president.
She's
duties
talking
of the
about
president.
aligning to do things, so I don't think that contradicts.
Well, it says new board member, so you'd have to remove new, because remember you removed it in your other sentence?
Yeah,
A board member?
right. Surely would that, and the rest of the board, would that be okay? Would that be clear enough?
Or you just change it to decide on a mentor?
Yeah, instead of.
You want the same sentence
assign.
there?
Yeah, I think that should be,
Just so the duty is clearly
All right,
what you
read
said
me the
earlier.
sentence.
You have the sentence.
No, it's different as applying to this part of the document.
see what it says assign a mentor. Oh, I have to cross it out.
So it should say, will work with a board member to whatever you wrote in that other sentence.
That's it.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
work with board member to decide
Yeah.
a mentor.
Yeah,
That
That's
would
good.
align it. Is that okay with everybody?
yeah.
If we're going backwards though, I think the definition of RFP needs to be spelled out because I don't know what that acronym means.
You're gonna have to give me a
It's on
page.
page 2.
Yeah, it should be request for proposal.
Oh, that's what that means?
Yes,
Okay, let me write that down because I'm gonna forget.
okay.
But I know a
Page
new board
2.
member wouldn't know what that means. Request for
And
proposal.
I have
And
a
then maybe a
question
description about what that means.
I have a question
Then a new
about
board
the
member may not know what RFP is, so
Yeah.
you're right. If you're
Yeah.
using an acronym, you can use that just as the acronym.
Yep, that's why I wanted to go back to that
Request
one.
for proposal. Okay.
And possibly a description of what that committee is.
It's not used very often.
We still know
Okay,
what it means.
under board, under appointments,
A page.
16.
Now I think you're skipping ahead of where Daniel was.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Daniel, did you have,
He was on like K9 or
Well,
something.
wait, can we go back one then before we get to where
Which
Daniel
page? Which
is?
page, Misha?
I'm on page 5.
Can I ask a favor of my board to please, let's go page by page then and
Yeah,
just
that's
speak
why I
up so
wanted-
we don't have to
yeah.
go
I didn't catch it
backwards.
until just now.
Because I'm bouncing all over the place.
We're on page 5.
okay,
All right,
So-
I'm on 5, yes.
While I get why these things are put in place, I don't want anybody's feathers to be ruffled. But on this you says guide rather than control in the new.
Excuse me, where are you?
Page
Misha?
5.
I'm at 5, where?
We're
She's looking at
under,
this sentence here that
Yes.
is worded like something our
but in
previous
the old
secretary.
one, it says
You are right.
exercise self-restraint.
But see, this is not a change, we can revisit this, but this was a change that was made eons ago. It's
Let
not
me
a
check.
current change. So if we
I
want
have
to change
one
it
from
again,
February
it's not in
right
red to me.
Okay.
Did you know what I mean?
I get
So
what you're
I'm
saying.
addressing only red unless something popped out that you guys feel is pertinent that we
I
change
think
and
we need to
address
leave it
now.
like it was, but okay.
Yeah, because we'd have to go back
So,
and we have to
yeah,
look it up,
I
because
get
it's not a change I have.
Okay.
That is-
I mean, does that
It
help?
makes sense. I just would like it to be like it was.
But make note of that,
I do.
and that doesn't mean we can't. Do you know what I mean? We'll go back
I do.
and do it again, or we can do it tonight, you know?
Okay. Now I'm caught up.
Are we caught, I mean, are you guys caught up? Can we
I'm
go
caught
back?
up to where he is.
Oh, I see. We changed it back in February. So it used to say exercise self-restraint.
Mhm.
Either one of those is kind of weird to me.
Right, I was, yeah. I mean, it needs to be reworded either way, but
I mean, you want to reword it tonight, or you want to let it go till the next
I gotta
time?
go, because I gotta
Okay.
think about that for
I
a
would
second.
just remove it, honestly.
What page are you on?
Amen.
You're on 5.
No point in dragging it out. I even put a question mark. What does this even mean?
I got a question.
Because that's
I
not
think we
really
should just
a
remove it.
duty of the
It's-
president. I'm sure we
Page
can come up with
5.
more duties for her later, but that's not
Guide
like
rather
a
than control.
opinion.
Misha and Amanda are requesting that we remove it. I mean, I have no problem.
Executive officer of the president, page 5.
Because it's so vague.
And Shirley,
She would be guiding by doing her duties.
so remove it? I'm okay, if that's what
the
you guys
will of the
want.
board. all of this is the will of the board now.
I'm just taking notes.
Who wants it removed? Guide rather than control. I'd like it removed.
Of course you do.
Well, it's so vague.
Because I don't think I tried to.
Do you think
control
remove, Daniel?
anybody.
Yeah, I like guide rather than control.
Or just use the word guide and remove the rest, or just remove the
I
whole
would just
sentence?
remove the whole sentence. You can add something.
Whole sentence?
You can add
Okay.
something in the future.
Daniel?
That's fine.
Lori? Thoughts? What would you,
Because her role is to guide the board in the meetings.
But it states that
So why don't you
several
put
times
that
in the
sentence
meeting.
then?
Yeah.
Well, that would be fine.
I'd be fine with that sentence. It's more specific. than
guide the board?
just guide, right?
But I mean, in the preside over all meetings, it's saying
Yeah,
that
that's
with each
true.
bullet point on there.
So do you want me to just put guide the board? Would everybody be happy with that?
That's fine.
Misha's saying it's a duplicate of
which one?
Preside
A
over all
different wording
meetings.
of the same. It's just a different
presiding
wording of
over
the
all
same
meetings, that it would be the
responsibilities.
same thing.
I mean, it's like 9 or 10 bullet points that say exactly that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Lori?
Whatever, it's up to the board.
Remove it?
Guide the board is fine.
Okay.
Is it two? Is that two?
I don't know, Misha and Amanda don't, they think it's repetitive, and I'm okay either way.
You're fine with it?
I think that, I mean, if guiding the board during board meetings is what it needs to be in order for, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I do believe that it is somewhat repetitive, but if we want to keep it in there, it's fine. I don't think that's something that's gonna, if you take it out, she still has the same authority to do what she does. So one way or
I just
another, it's
thought
not
it should
changing
be
anything.
removed.
I
If
mean,
we
it's the
remove
same
it, it's
thing
not
as
changing.
presiding
anything.
over all the meetings.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, what is, we gotta wait for AJ to come.
Yeah, he would be the deciding factor. Because it's kind of split.
While we're waiting for him.
What page were we on, 15?
We're on 5.
No, I mean after that. 'cause
I don't
took us
know.
back.
No,
We're
we were
going
in the
back
case
to-
though,
Okay.
because Daniel wanted.
Case
We were in the
6.
case.
Okay.
Yeah, we were case.
Let's see
My
how
next
NSBA
official page is really
sets
K9,
stuff.
but we're on
Right.
K5, so we're on K6, but my next
There
official.
were things better than Mr. Baker.
Going backwards.
Mhm.
We keep going backwards.
We're going backwards.
The last time was my fault, Laura, I'm sorry, I just had to.
No, that's okay.
say that.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
No,
okay.
that gets it done. It's okay.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
All right, you,
I didn't hear your take on guide the board. I didn't hear your take on guide the board.
It's fine.
okay. So we put guide the board, okay?
And we can always remove it next time.
All right, anybody, any other questions for 5? All right, Daniel.
K9.
Okay.
Didn't you go over K9?
So we at K5. We're at K5, and then we went back to regular 5.
Yes, so we're on K9 now. Daniel has a question.
Identify the page.
Yes, Daniel, it's all yours.
So I read the paragraph,
Uh-huh.
and it says, any member wishes to attend a workshop, will seek authorization from the board president, which would be Shirley at this time. Then it says, the president, after consulting with the superintendent, which is Jason, right now until tomorrow, to talk about the viability of the trip, and will respond to the member.
Right.
So it'll go Shirley, Jason, then the member. So I'm trying to understand why the board member has to announce in a board meeting that they're going on an overnight trip. If I have nothing to do with anybody going anywhere, why does it have to be announced? Maybe I'm missing something. But if I'm going somewhere and I have to talk to Shirley, who needs to talk to Jason, why do I have to announce at the board table, I'm going to MSB in Hawaii next week. I don't know, what's the reasoning?
I can answer it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Typically, we go to Shirley because she's the head of our board.
Mhm.
She confers with the superintendent on it because he still has to control the purse strings.
Correct.
And then she tells you, yes, you can go, or no, you can't. And then you just announce it at a meeting before you're going. Just like I did it for NSBA.
Okay, so I guess the question is, why is it announced? Why does it, I mean, is there a reason behind it, or just because this is what we do?
So everybody knows that you're gonna be gone.
And it's transparency, because it is reported out, board expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And we have never had a problem, but I know surrounding districts have with boards, and there is a board, an Inkster board that was abusing that.
Mhm.
They were just doing what they did, spending lots of money. We do have a budget line. We are accountable to what we spend. We can't go to everything. So it's just checks and balances, Daniel. It's being transparent to the public that we are developing, we're going to that, and then it doesn't impact our budget line and stuff, and we can't go to everything, like our superintendent doesn't go to everything, Linda doesn't, Amy, James, we have to pick and choose what we go and stay within those guidelines.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just part of the process and being transparent, and then if somebody says, okay, I see this board member is doing this, and this, and another board member may not even know that they're going.
It's like I didn't know Shirley was going to Lansing.
I guess, and I
So-
get that. And I guess, I'm trying to think of a way of saying it.
I have two
Yeah.
other reasons why you might want to announce it, if it helps.
Okay, well, no, say what you have to say, so I can, yes, go ahead.
If, like, if, for example, the president was gonna be out of town, we would all know she's not gonna be here, and that means you should prepare to run the next meeting, because
Mhm.
of course, the vice president will step in for the president. And then another reason you might wanna say you're gonna be going out of town for a conference is because whoever goes out of town for a conference is supposed to be coming back and presenting it to the board. So you have a record of that, and then you would have a record of their presentation.
I get all of that, and that makes sense, but why does it have to be announced at the board table? If Shirley leaves, she could tell us, I mean, why does it have to be at the board table is what I'm trying to understand. Why can't it just be, a casual conversation, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to Florida, Misha, you got this, right? I guess I'm trying to figure out why it says, prior to the meeting at the table. I guess that's what I'm trying to get, why the table?
So you
Because
mean
we
like-
operate as a board.
Yes, we operate as a board, but I kind of get what he means. It's spelled out here in the affiliated organizations what the chain is, what happens. And then it said if the trip is denied, the member can then make the request by putting it to the board. To the vote of the board. All board members must announce their intention to attend anything that includes an overnight travel. But in the explanation that you gave, you said that we're supposed to come back and report to the board regardless if we're overnight or wherever we are, right? When we go and we do those things. I don't know. It just doesn't sound right to me. Like, we have to sit here in front of the public on video and say, I'm gonna go, which we already know we're going, it's been approved or whatever. I don't see why we can't wait till we come back. Now, I do agree that we have to let somebody know, that we're leaving so we can cover for that person. I think this is too,
And I just didn't understand why. I mean,
Yeah,
how it is
why
what it
do we
is,
have
I
to
just
say
wanted to
that?
understand, so that's why I asked the question. If we do it here or not, I'd just like to know stuff, so I don't.
If we do it during board communications, it'll also be in the minutes.
Okay. Okay. Right.
Is that the only one on that page?
On that page, yes.
Does anybody else have anything on K9 before Daniel moves forward? So we don't have to go
So are you
backwards.
leaving it or are you changing it?
We're leaving it. Any other on K9 before we move forward with Daniel?
I know it's still over.
Okay, Daniel, it's all yours.
Last, K-12.
okay,
K-12.
Okay.
Before you talk, I want to address that, okay? I know which one you talk. Yeah, I already know.
To the chair,
Yeah.
point of order. Daniel had the floor.
Can I concede
And-
it or proceed it or give it to the president? I don't know if she got to say.
Yeah.
You
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Madam
I just wanted
President.
to,
Go ahead, Ms. President.
I just wanted to address that.
Please do, Madam President.
Thank you.
I'm good. I can say what I gotta say afterwards. All good.
She has to return it to you.
Yeah, I will return it back to you. Can I read a sentence? When having a personal interest in an organization that wants to rent our facility, they should excuse themselves from the process that might be deemed a personal gain. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
I know it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I talked with Cheryl about that today. And what I said to her was I thought that we should not put that in there because we could set ourselves up for something we did not want to deal with. So, it was told that I did this. I don't remember doing it, but if they say I did it, which I don't remember. So, and my thing is, I did tell Cheryl that I thought we should put this in here.
To the chair.
Yes.
So this is under the area of conflict of interest.
Yes.
And the definition of conflict of interest is when you are getting some type of gain from anything. So, I'm renting, I'm selling somebody something and I'm getting a gain. So when I see this, I think of myself, because, I feel like this was big for me more than anybody else. And I feel privileged to have something in this for me. The organization that I'm a part of, I get paid $0 and 0 cents. $0 and 0 cents. I'm volunteering my time. But someone could deem that as a conflict of interest because they think that I'm getting a personal gain. So this bothers me because I was told I was in a conflict of interest and I still to this day don't understand, but it was assumed without talking to me that it was. And I'm like, if I'm making $0 and 0 cents off of renting a facility that we're paying for, how is that a conflict of interest? I'm getting $0, I'm gonna say it again, and 0 cents, I'm not getting a kickback, I'm not getting anything. But renting a space because I'd rather spend $5,000 in South Redford than Southfield. But then it's a conflict of interest because it was deemed that.
Can I interject, because I know that's...
Yes, you
Okay.
may.
It was a conflict of interest because you do rent our facilities for you to be on the committee that was setting fees.
But how, the definition of conflict of interest is me getting
Personal
something.
gain.
I'm getting no personal gain from renting.
But
I'm just renting.
you have an interest in it.
I have an interest in the kids that I'm helping, but I'm renting for the same prices as everyone else is renting. So what's the conflict if I'm renting the space? It's not like I was saying give it to me for free or give me the keys. I was saying I want to rent a space where I live to help the kids in my district have somewhere to participate in a sport and not be on the streets. It wasn't a conflict, it was me helping kids. And it was, and the bigger piece was, it wasn't even a conversation about what I was doing. The decision was made without even saying, hey Daniel, what you doing? So the word deemed is made by the person who deems it without a conversation. So that's my concern with this whole sentence is, who's deeming it? Is it Jason? Is it who? And will it be a conversation with the person that they're deeming to be in a conflict of interest before that decision is made? Because if not, then we're just in here arbitrarily making up what we think conflicts of interest are. And that's not fair, and that I don't think that's in the best look for this board to decide what we feel without even having conversations.
And that's why I said that. That's why when I talked with Cheryl today, I told her that I did not think that this should be it.
And I get it. I think that in the concept of what it is, I get the conflict of interest thing. But me personally, not getting paid 1 cent, and not getting anything from it, but wanting to rent a space in the district where I work and live and not getting a cent. Once again, I'm gonna say it one more time, I don't see how that's a conflict of interest if I want to sit on the committee, sit on the table, or sit anywhere else if I'm getting nothing back from it. How can that possibly be a conflict of interest besides I care about kids and I try to give them a safe space in the district where I work and I live instead of spending money somewhere else, which I could, and I did.
Mayor,
Yes, you may.
I was under the advice, Brian and I, from our board attorney, our district attorney.
And my point, once again, it was deemed without a conversation from me, though. No one asked me a thing. So 3 people got together and had a conversation and then asked the person accused of conflict of interest, what's your side of the story? I mean, how does that work exactly? When no one talks to the person who's been accused of conflict of interest about what you're doing. Because it says right here, monetary gain, less than $250, you gotta report it. Well, what does it say about $0? Oh, it doesn't. No one talked to me. Once again, so this is my issue with that whole thing. Who's gonna be deeming it? And what's the personal gain? Me helping kids and being happy? Is that a personal gain? Or is it monetary? So,
To the chair.
Yes.
So, the conflict of interest is spelled out in 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs on here, as far as monetary gain is going for. So, Daniel's right in a certain instance, right? We haven't, I would like to know that too, like define personal gain if it's outside of what is already defined here. You know what I mean? Because we have a clear definition of what we think conflict of interest is in this school district. And this last sentence is just like a nail, you know what I mean, in the clock. Like, what are we saying? What are we doing?
And that is why I spoke to Cheryl, because personally, I did not see where this sentence was a conflict of interest, and I did mention that to Cheryl.
All right, to the chair.
Yes.
Shirley did mention it to it, and I reminded her she is the reason, but she's retracting it.
I just
Why
said I
it's there.
didn't remember. I didn't retract
You know, so I have no
it.
problem remembering it, but I think we're gonna keep having an issue. And I think, as a chair, the only solution is a neutral written opinion by attorney that specializes in board policy and law. We use Miller and Canfield. We've been dealing with Michelle Crockett, but her specialty is not the board specialty. Miller and Canfield has a whole educational section of attorneys that specialize in this law and any conflicts that our policies might cause between ourselves, our community, or whatever. There is a person that we've used in prior years is Amanda Van Duzen, and some of you might recognize her name. There's a whole team that specializes in law. I have nothing bad to say about Michelle Crockett, but if you look at her resume and stuff, her thing is negotiation and contracts, and she's very good. We have some really key issues that we need clarification, like Misha said. There is more. There's different types of conflict of interest. We don't have word by word. We don't have the whole law even here. So I can't say what is right, what is wrong, but we do definitely need clarification, and I think the only way we're going to get it is through somebody that specializes in the educational law, and we go to a special attorney. We've already, the board doesn't pick the specific attorney when we vote. We pick the law firm. And Miller and Canfield is our law firm.
And Michelle Crockett works for Miller and Canfield.
But that is not her specialized.
She can confer with any lawyer within.
If she chooses to do so.
If we tell her to do so, she will do it, right?
And it has become such a touchy thing. I ask that we have a written opinion. We can go into closed session when we request a written opinion to get a clarification once and for all. So we all understand the law. She
what's
writes
wrong with Michelle Crockett doing that?
I request a different attorney.
Why?
Because her specialty is not what we need at this time as a board.
Okay.
And we have had board attorneys in the past, and what she does excellent for the district, I think, is not in her realm. as what we need moving forward as a board. And why wouldn't we go with an attorney that specializes in board policy and laws and code of conducts and stuff? That's what they live and breathe.
Okay, now, remember we talked about in youth, we're gonna ask Lori who that person was that spoke at Wayne County?
I remember his last name is Foley, but I do not remember his first name, but I can find out.
That might be a different law firm. though.
But it's a different law
We have
firm.
to-
I'm
we
going,
decide the
that
law
would be a
firm every
different
year.
process. We have a law firm we approved as a board, which means we're accessible to any of their attorneys on their board. And wouldn't you, I'd go to the one that specializes, if I had a lawsuit or had a question, to the one that specializes in that specific thing.
The only reason why I mentioned that is because you did.
Right, I did, until I looked at Miller Campfield, and it isn't a, you know, there are attorneys there that this
So we would have to
district
pay
can
for
use.
another attorney's opinion.
We'd have to pay for an opinion no matter what. We've already contracted
Right.
the team. So it doesn't matter if we request Michelle do it, or we request another attorney in that legal firm.
Okay, so if we are requesting, if we are doing that, then we should strike this.
That's-
until we
that-
do-
that
Right
was
now,
my
leave it
suggestion.
off right now, yes.
My suggestion is leave it off. And let's for one time and only, let's go through it. Let's get that legal opinion. We can go in, we want to discuss this and work out some things, you know, with what Daniel says and everybody. We can go into closed session to do that with a legal opinion. And we're in an environment where we all can talk and get those issues out. And we're on the same page moving forward, instead of,
Yeah,
you know, dancing around.
okay.
I have a question, please.
I didn't hear you.
I have a question,
Yeah,
please.
to the chair.
To the chair.
Thank you.
I have a question, Madam President.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Why is this even in here? Where did it come from?
Where did what come from, sir?
Why is this even brought to this, where,
The last sentence or the whole thing?
this last sentence?
That was sent to us, and like our president said, I take lists of notes and people
You
say,
said sent to you?
she requested that we add that, because there was our president. Now she says she doesn't want it on anymore, and we respect that, to remove that. And the discussion is, but we do have some issues we have to discuss and iron out moving forward. You know, even with renting our facilities and stuff, we just need a clear direction. So what we've been suggested, we remove that sentence, and I'm requesting that we get an opinion through one of our attorneys that specializes in the type of law we need. And if it is a written opinion, we are allowed to discuss it in closed session and review it. And I think it might help us in the direction we may be going in the future.
Since you want it removed, then why do we need to go through all that anyway? If it's gonna get removed, why do we need to reinvent the wheel?
Because we have things coming down that are going to circle around, and it's going to be impacted with conflict of interest.
What does you say things coming down, what does that mean?
Just as the facility committee reconvenes, goes through the process, opening up our facilities, what's legal, whatever, what may be a conflict of interest, we need a legal opinion now.
On board members renting facilities or staff or teachers?
Anything. Because we're back, reopening our football field, reopening our track. How does it impact what we're gonna do? I mean, we need a definite legal clarification of what is conflict of interest. Daniel was told one thing, and, we each can interpret it differently. But I think the time is we get the legal opinion, and then we stand by that we stand by anything else, and I think that will send us in the direction we need to do.
In which direction is it?
Depends on what the committee decides.
What the committee decides? And the committee or the board?
The committee brings a recommendation, the board has to
And the
approve.
board decides.
Yes.
Can I make a?
So we kind of got away from, in the beginning, from my orientation in January, that it's all about the children. And if a board member or teacher or say like Cooper, for instance, decides he wants to get a place, some kind of safe haven for the children of the city and our children in our school district, I don't quite understand how this is, like, it's kind of fighting.
Well, and the committee may not, I'm sorry.
I don't think anything that you guys are about to discuss has anything to do
No,
with
we
this
need to stay on.
It doesn't.
or
that.
this manual.
I was just getting ready to say.
One quick thing.
One quick thing.
Can we have an unbiased lawyer, somebody that we don't know? Like just random lawyer. And she said, since we should get one, I'm down with that. I just want someone that nobody knows
From Miller County.
from Miller County.
We can request that.
I don't know any of the lawyers. I've not even met Michelle, and I've been on the board like 2 years.
We can request that.
So we're going to strike that, and can we move forward now, please? Daniel, do you have anything else?
I am finished.
All right.
Good job.
Anybody else on the board have any questions, concerns, things they want to change, or can we put this to rest?
Wait. I just want to make sure I got all my yellows crossed out.
The chair, you mean you're going to make us go backwards again?
Just double checking.
I'm just double checking because I think I talked about everything that I needed to talk about. I have another question. The vacancy thing,
Excuse me?
vacancy,
Oh.
page
Page what?
Vacancy.
16.
I know we didn't touch anything.
I know, and you want to know something, this thing with the vacancy thing, you know, and we had to do that on page 16. Well, actually, it's on page 18 when we start with all of this.
All your things, right.
Yeah,
So my suggestion to the president, that was something you and the secretary created and did. And
I
if you
know,
want to
and you wanna-
rechange the process, then somebody needs to get all the data and do all the research and get it all
See,
together. It's nothing
and
for
can I
the
say
committee.
this?
For the candidates, though.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
There was no research done.
Oh.
Was it Chris? No, we did not
Well,
do it.
then, respectfully to the chair, I would think maybe it's something you might want to think about forming a board committee and putting people responsible to research and see what other boards do and bring the information.
I'm not forming any more committees.
But other than that, it stands, because I had nothing to do with that, and I was not charged with any
And you
changes
know
or anything.
something? Actually, I didn't have anything to do with it
So-
either.
You know,
So, okay, that's all.
I just don't think it needs to be in there. It
I
takes
just
up
don't
like
think it needs-
5 pages.
I don't think
Kind of
it
like
needs
putting
something
our
separate.
evaluation
Yeah.
tool in here.
It's
Yeah.
something separate.
I really don't think.
But it should be revisited
But sure,
in the
doesn't want
future.
to do anything.
well, I think it's a separate thing. I
It
mean,
is.
you know, I think it's not in my realm. It's not,
Yeah, I'm
it doesn't
just
fall
saying
under what I've been
that-
tasked to do,
I'm
so.
just saying that the appointment, page 16 and 17 should be in here, and page 18 through,
Well, I wouldn't even leave that in there.
All right.
Because there's no reference to where this information came from.
Then surely maybe you and Amanda and one
Yeah,
other board
we don't know
member
where you
should
got it.
review it, and then we can, and bring that back, and we can go through the committee and bring it back to the board and
Okay, we
eliminate it
will.
or don't,
We
or change
will.
it. Do you know what I
We
mean?
will. Okay,
I think that would be the easiest thing, because you know what you want, you know what your vision is.
I volunteer to do this whole section over and bring it
See?
back. Do you
Right there.
volunteer too, or are you volunteering
I'm
me?
volunteering.
Okay.
All right,
All
see, so that, to me, that's great. You know?
And it's a real rarity when we have a vacancy, however,
Yeah,
We still need to be prepared for one.
and I wasn't here for the last one, so I
and
don't know
I can
how.
honestly
Thanks a lot,
say,
Laura.
it was not easy.
No,
So
it
I know
wasn't.
exactly what Misha and Amanda are saying, but I'm saying it's out of my task and my realm, and I would gladly do whatever's recommended from something else.
Okay,
All right?
all right.
Can I put
So-
this document to rest as it is right now?
So
Does
you're
anybody-
taking this out?
Before we,
No, we're not taking it
We're
out.
not taking it out? Okay,
No,
well, we're
we
just
gotta-
gonna write it up and then bring it back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it'll go
Okay.
from committee to the board. That's
We
all you
got
gotta do.
okay, next, is there anybody else that has anything or any more questions on the Board of Education Orientation Operations Manual? Oh, and one thing I would like to thank the committee, since I wasn't at that last meeting. I would like to thank the committee in the references, because that helped a lot.
Now, when we do policy, we just have to reference back to the operations.
Yeah, well, I went and I looked through all of the references.
You were checking on me, huh, Shirley, to see if I was
Yes,
doing
I
my
was.
job?
Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. I just needed to know that information. Okay, next item on the agenda is consider board policy updates. Is that you, Mrs.
Yeah, it is. It is. Our committee met, we had our discussion 2 weeks ago for the board. Most of it was law that we changed. There was one or two policies, we started reviewing some odd policies that we had to tweak here and here to align with other things. But it's ready to go and I just need board approval.
Are there any questions? You do? Mr. Winston,
I have one question.
okay.
Sorry, I must have didn't see this. So, up under copy of use of school facilities, the board will permit the use of facilities where such permission has been requested in writing, and be approved by the director of finance, not the superintendent anymore?
It's all things are going through. She does the final stamp with the date. She signs off and it's billed through her. And that's how it's being handled. People, Linda is up, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all those documents are ending up in your office, right? So it is through finance.
But, okay, so I guess I'm trying to understand something then. Linda is going to approve if someone can use space, or is she just gonna bill people on space?
She's approving the application.
Oh,
I think it's
okay.
just from the perspective of
The money.
the last, yes, the space is available, yes, it's gone through the it's been approved at the respective facility, it's come to me, we have all of the necessary documents from
Okay.
the proposed rentor, specifically insurance, a
Okay.
completed application.
Got it. Thank you.
And
Could
then
you,
I'm just,
okay, cause you know, I was going like, okay, well, do you sign off on?
I don't get to say no or yes, I just,
Okay,
my approval means I have all of the required documentation
okay,
and the person renting understands the rules, the fees, etc.
okay. Understood, cause I was confused, because I'm like, okay, is Linda gonna be calling over to Thurston like, hey, is it just
Yeah,
space available?
no.
Okay, so it's just,
No.
everything's
It's
in.
the final
and it's
thing, final stamp of approval.
Got it, okay, just want to get clarity on what that was, just to make sure I got it. Okay,
Does that help?
yeah.
Got any more questions?
Nope.
All right.
Mr. Johnson.
So who handles the dates before you get those approved? Before you
I don't have, my department has nothing to do with the dates.
Who-
That is squared away at the buildings because there's no
Yeah.
way
Okay.
my department could even begin to know what each building wants, has, needs, anything like
So
that.
someone else has
So
a date,
those
a
folks are
calendar.
making all of the decisions as to how things are rented, when things are rented. They know what staff they have to have, all of that. The only thing that we do is we finalize the document when it comes to our office.
I
And
can-
that's just, my signature just means you have everything that we need.
Okay. Well, if you picked up a whole bunch more responsibilities, I was gonna shake your hand. Let me know.
So
No,
can
that's
we move
negative.
the resolution, Madam
Yes.
President?
This is the last
It's the
one.
last page, very last page, right there, it's spoken over, there you go.
All right. Do I have a board member willing to adopt the resolution on the policy committee?
To the chair.
Yes.
I'd like to move the adoption of the following resolution, please.
Do I have
Support.
support? It's been moved by Mrs. Fletcher and supported by Mr. Winston. All in favor?
Aye.
7 ayes, any nays? 0 nays. Resolution adopted. There are no comments from the audience. Next item on the agenda is the Plus Delta Plan for Improvement. Mrs. Davis.
Madam President, what processes of the board's work this evening? Call please.
You don't have any? First of
Go ahead.
I'd like to thank Chris for all his help, for the policy, for the orientation,
Mhm.
for Risa. Thank you, Chris. Okay,
What opportunities would there be for improvement in the board, Adolphus?
well, I guess there are none. Okay, 0 deltas. Since if there's nothing more that comes before this board, I adjourn the meeting at 8:13.